The parliamentary panel, the Ethics Committee, which looked into the Mahua Moitra affair, has now come to a conclusion that yes, she's guilty of having shared her login credentials. They have recommended that A, she be expelled as Member of Parliament from the 17th Lok Sabha. They have also recommended to the government that there be a criminal investigation to find out if Mahua Moitra, the said Member of Parliament, derived a quid pro quo, whether there was financial rewards or whether there was gifts in kind for the questions that she asked in Parliament targeting a particular corporate group. Mahua Moitra, of course, says this entire investigation by the ethics panel is a complete charade. She says this is the BJP out to get her because she's asking uncomfortable questions about the nature of the relationship between a particular corporate group and the powers that be. But at the end of the day, one thing is absolutely clear, and even Mahua does not deny this, that her login credentials were shared with the son of an industrial house, an industrial group who may have rival corporate interests with the corporate group in question, and that her login credentials were used multiple times from outside of India. She says it was a typist in that office who was using it, and that she's not violated any laws of the land. But ultimately, net, this is what it boils down to, that Mahua Moitra's membership of Parliament has been recommended by the ethics panel to be expelled, which means the report that has been now submitted to the Speaker will be put to a vote whenever the House reconvenes next, presumably the first or the second day of the winter session. And if that vote passes by a simple majority, then Mahua Moitra ceases to remain a Member of Parliament. But first, what the ethics panel found and what Mahua's defense is to that.
Asking also the 3 questions.
हम लोगों ने अपनी रिपोर्ट, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट लोकसभा स्पीकर को आज अडॉप्ट करने के बाद कल सौंप देंगे।
लेकिन जो भी एविडेंसेस हमारे पास सरकार की तरफ से आए हैं, नॉट टेलिंग गुड ऑफ द इश्यूज दैट हैज बीन रेज्ड।
I am of the opinion that if there is credible evidence with regards to corruption, that is for the committee and the speaker to opine on.
मुझे लगता है कि महुआ मोइत्रा is competent enough to fight a battle on her own.
एथिक्स कमेटी का चेयरमैन उन्हीं का है, सीबीआई उन्हीं का है, जिसको जो चाहे वो कर सकते हैं।
All right, so here's what the ethics panel found. A, there was a heinous and criminal conduct by the said Member of Parliament, in this case, Mahua Moitra. What the panel has recommended is that the Lok Sabha expels Mahua Moitra as a Member of Parliament of the 17th Lok Sabha. Also, what the panel has found, that she shared her login credentials as a Member of Parliament with unauthorized persons. Not just unauthorized persons, but in this case, a person who may or may not have a direct conflict of interest with the corporate house that she was alleging had sort of close links with the powers that be. Also, what the panel has recommended is that the misdemeanors therein call for a severe punishment, and therefore they are recommending an investigating authority to get to the bottom of it. Also, what the panel found, that there was unethical conduct by acceptance of money and gifts by the Member of Parliament. What the panel has recommended is that there be a legal and an institutional inquiry by any Government of India agency as the need is so determined. Now, what the panel also found is that there was a money trail between Mahua Moitra and Darshan Hiranandani, who is the scion of this corporate group, who, like I said, may or may not have a direct conflict of interest with the Adani group, who she had been railing and ranting against. The panel has also recommended that the government should probe by way of any competent investigating agency whether there was a quid pro quo by way of financial rewards or even gifts in kind. So that brings us to the next question. What is next for Mahua Moitra? What are the next steps in this legal process? The ethics panel now has tabled that report. The panel has adopted that report. The next step is to give these reports, this recommendation to the Lok Sabha Speaker. Once it's given to the Lok Sabha Speaker, then he brings forth a motion on the first day of the winter session of Parliament, which is the next session of Parliament due to begin in the first week of December. Mahua Moitra, of course, has the right to challenge the expulsion recommendation that's been made by the ethics panel. She can go to court and say that this is unfair in law. Once the report is tabled in the House by the Speaker, the government will then set up an institutional inquiry, whether that's a CBI inquiry or a CVC or any other competent investigating agency that the government so deems fit. Now, once that inquiry comes to a conclusion and once this vote passes by simple majority, which is 50% in the Lok Sabha, and the BJP has overwhelming numbers in the Lok Sabha, then Mahua Moitra will cease to remain as a member of Parliament. All right, in the face of all of this, Mahua Moitra has refused to back down. She maintains that this is a hatchet job. In fact, she's tweeted out hitting back at the BJP, and this is part of our Motorola India's best 5G smartphone brand's tweet of the day.
Hello, Moto.
All right, this is what she has tweeted. Shaking in my skin to know the BJP is planning criminal cases against me. Welcome them. Only know that the CBI and the ED need to file FIR against Adani for the 1,30,000 crore coal scam before they question how many pairs of shoes I have. So let's get to our big debate tonight as Mahua Moitra faces expulsion as Member of Parliament. Has the line been drawn now for impropriety in public office?
Hello, Moto.
Joining us on the talking point, Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Riju Datta is spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Nalin Mehta, author and columnist, joining us, and Tausif Ahmed Khan, advocate and political analyst. Sanju Verma, Mahua's contention is that she has not broken the law of the land. She's asking what sections of the IPC, what sections of the CRPC has she violated. So how can the ethics panel come to a conclusion that she has to be expelled as a member of Parliament when the case is only at best for breach of ethics and impropriety?
You know, Zaka, first and foremost, let's be very clear that the Ethics Committee came into existence way back in 1997, and the powers of the Ethics Committee are publicly documented. So Mahua Moitra, can go and look up the rules before howling, screaming, ranting and screeching her lungs out. Point number two, I am surprised, but I am not, shocked, because this is par for the course. Mahua Moitra expects the whole world to believe when she makes reckless allegations at Adani. But when she's in the dock, when wo katghade mein khadi hain, so Mahua Moitra says, submit the proof. So here is the proof. Point number one. You are not supposed to disclose what is going to be in public domain maybe 48 hours hence or 24 hours hence or 1 week hence prior to it becoming public knowledge, especially when it is with respect to key bills that are likely to be tabled in the House. And the reason I say this is because something which no journalist seems, and with no offense to you, Zaka, something which no journalist seems to have asked Mahua Moitra about. Mahua Moitra is a member of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology. Mahua Moitra is a member of the Joint Committee on Personal Data Protection Bill. Mahua Moitra is a member of the Consultative Committee of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And Darshan Hiranandani, besides having investments on a large scale in real estate, is very heavily invested in India's information technology space. So point number one, Mahua Moitra, by virtue of being a member of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT, had access to what the discussion with respect to key IT related bills were going to be in the Parliament, maybe 1 week prior to those becoming public, maybe 24 hours before those bills were going to be public, and to share that information with a businessman based out of Dubai, and then claim मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था, maybe he logged in, or maybe some secretarial staff logged in. So we went into the details of this. When I say we, I mean the ethics committee.
Yeah.
And why I said we, because everybody says, oh, ethics committee to BJP ki hai, which is false, but I'll come to that later. The ethics committee found out that each time there is a login which is made into Mahua Moitra's account by Dinesh Hiranandani, and this was done on 49 occasions. First, there is a OTP which is generated.
Yes.
It is only after Mahua Moitra confirms the OTP and then gives it to Darshan Hiranandani that he finally accesses the Lok Sabha account of Miss Moitra, which means that Miss Moitra to now turn around and say maybe he logged in a couple of times, maybe 5 times or 2 times, maybe 49 times. What's the big deal? No, Miss Moitra. Each of the 49 times you got an OTP. Each of the 49 times you brazenly and shamelessly shared the OTP with Darshan Hiranandani, and today you are hiding under the cover of misogyny, you are hiding under the woman card which you are playing out brazenly, but nobody is buying it. And last but not the least,
Okay.
Zaka, I believe that, we all have personal lives, but I also believe that when you're a public personality, moral turpitude is something that you have to be very, very conscious about. Because anything that you say, anything that you do, anything that you may not say or may not do is also under public scrutiny.
Okay.
I have one question to ask. Just one question to ask.
Quickly, yeah. Thank you.
Never have I in any debate said that Jai Anand Dehadrai is her ex-paramour, her jilted lover. But this term was used by Mahua Moitra herself, making her personal life a public spectacle. So Miss Moitra, your ex-jilted lover, is not some rookie. He's an advocate in the Supreme Court who's filed a CBI complaint against you.
I want to refrain from all this personal stuff because it's not material to the case. What is material to the case, and I want to ask Riju Datta this, is even Mahua is not denying the fact that her login credentials were shared. Now look, this argument that all MPs share their login credentials, their staff have the login credentials, PRS staff have the login credentials, that does not cut eyes because this was shared with the scion of an industrial house who has a conflict of interest with the very same corporate house that she's been railing and ranting against. So the next time, assuming all of this goes away, right, Riju, the next time Mahua Moitra stands up in parliament and asks a question on Adani and saying that, this is crony capitalism, the same argument can be made against her, that she's an instrument of crony capitalism. She's acting on behalf of another corporate group. That is the moot point. The moot point is that whatever she is accusing of a particular corporate group and the powers that be of, encouraging of crony capitalists, the same can be said of her. And that is where the problem is. The problem is that of hypocrisy. The problem is that of double standards. And that is something that she needs to answer. Riju Datta.
Okay, thank you. And I hope, Zaka, you will give me the equal courtesy of time that you have given BJP. Now, let me start off by saying in no uncertain terms that this so-called ethics committee is an ethics-less, biased and a compromised committee, which is being used by the BJP to target opposition MPs. I'm saying it on record. I have to ask some pertinent questions, 1, 2 and 3. First question, it is glad to see the ethics committee alive. Where was the ethics committee when the Sharoda and the Naroda case was reported and they did not call Shubhendu Adhikari? Where was the ethics committee for the last 6 months when Ramesh Biduri was reported and he abused another MP on the floor of the parliament? Where is the ethics committee then when the complaint in this case, Mr. Nishikant Dubey, he himself has been reported to the same ethics committee for producing fraudulent degrees and certificates? Where is the ethics committee then? The ethics committee is very active when it is about an opposition MP. And I'm not talking about Trinamool Congress or Mahua Moitra against anybody, any opposition MP. This is a clear case of choking the voice of the dissent in the parliament. I am asking 3 questions which need to be answered here. Question number 1. Why was the ethics committee has not called a single BJP leader who have been reported to the ethics committee, but has taken less than a week to pronounce their judgment against Mahua Moitra? Question number 2. When you say, Zaka, that she has shared her login ID, she is a product of hypocrisy, she is guilty of crony capitalism and all that, this is all subject to investigation. So until and unless this investigation, because the ethics committee does not have any criminal jurisdiction. So until and unless this ethics committee is the investigation is over, how can they pronounce a judgment? How can they give their final verdict to the Lok Sabha speaker? Because the
Riju, Mahua herself has not denied the fact that 47 times her login were used from Dubai. She's not denying that claim. She's saying yes, her login was used 47 times from Dubai. That is a problem. That's a breach of privilege. That's a breach of trust.
Zaka,
can I please rebut?
One second, Sanju.
Let me finish, please. Now, my question is that sharing your login and password might be morally wrong to Zaka, Jacob or XYZ. But does the ethics committee, does the parliamentary procedures have any specific model code of conduct or SOP on sharing login and ID and password? The NIC email ID was not shared, and the OTP was Sanjuji was mentioning. The OTP, Mahua Moitra again said it on record that none of the questions that were filed were unsupervised. I gave the OTP and I supervised the questions that were filed. But my last question before you go to anybody else, please Sanjuji, you have my last question and then you can answer. My last question is this: what an irony that the first media outlet that is owned by Mr. Adani was the first media group to leak the draft of the ethics committee before even...
No, one second. No, sorry. I think that is factually incorrect. Now, wait, 1 second. Sanju Verma, I'll come back to you in 10 seconds. I just want to state the record, clear the record for the record's sake. First of all, the person... No, 1 second, sir, 1 second. Just the person who broke that story was my colleague, Payal Mehta. She had access to that report. Now, you can argue whether a member of that ethics committee should have or should not have given her the operative parts of the report. But frankly, I believe all journalism works where somebody or the other, wants to convey information to you. And if, you as a journalist, as an editorial organization, are able to... You raised a question about journalistic ethics. I'm well within my right to give my clarification. And Nalin will also back me on this because he's been a journalist for a number of years. If a journalist or a journalist organization have a particular information which is material to a particular story of public interest, and we believe 100% that this story is of public interest because it involves a member of parliament and the people who elected her, and we have a conclusion of an inquiry that has been launched against her, we are well within our right to put that out. Number two, factual incorrection which you made was that you said that a particular media house had that report first. I don't think that is accurate. Our reporter, my colleague Payal Mehta, had that report first, and we put it out on air first before anybody else because we believed a matter of public interest was being served. So that is a very, very separate matter from whatever your contention may be with the ethics panel chief or the manner of the leak or whatever it is. That's a separate matter. Is there public interest involved in this? Was there a journalistic reason to put that information out in the public domain? Absolutely yes. 150% yes. That is my stand as the editor of this organization as we decided to put that information out there first in the public domain. It's a simple statement. Yeah.
It was done purposely.
No, it was not done purposely. It was not done purposely. Had this been Riju Datta, any other member of parliament, member of the BJP, member of the TMC, member of the BSP, member of the Congress party, if public interest was served by putting that information out, we would have done it. Trust me, as the editor of this channel, I can vouch for that, and I'm saying that on national television. But Sanju Verma, 30 seconds to rebut what he's saying, then I want to go to Nalin after this. Yeah, please.
Zaka, your debates are the sanest. And Riju is usually a very well-informed person. But I have just this to add for the benefit of your audience, and I'm sure Riju will acknowledge this as well. People say that why ethics committee is taking a call to expel her or recommending the needful. So please go and educate yourself. Go back to 2005 when the PK Bansal committee expelled 11 members from the parliament, including 10 members from the Lok Sabha and 1 member from the Rajya Sabha. And out of these 11 members, 6 members were from the BJP. And that time there was not even a notarized affidavit. Like Darshan Hirnandani has provided in the case of Mahua Moitra, a notarized affidavit has legal sanctity. The BJP leaders in 2005 were expelled on the basis of a sting operation. A sting operation which was not even verified at that point in time. The matter then went to the Supreme Court in 2007 and the Supreme Court upheld the expulsion of BJP members in 2005, saying that the Ethics Committee's decision is final because the Supreme Court believes in the delineation of powers which is already laid down in the Constitution-wide Article 245. So the Supreme Court tak yadi ye matter gaya bhi, under Article 245 of the Constitution, the executive, the legislature and the judiciary, their powers are very well demarcated. So Mahua Moitra's end game is...
So let me ask Nalin Mehta, because I've been hearing this time and again, that media should not have put out this information, that this was a leak, this was a concerted leak, so on and so forth. Please tell me, Nalin, if a journalist has information or is privy to information that is definitely in the public domain, that furthers the public interest, then is he or she bound to put that information out, or should they be curtailing it in the name of, who leaked it and why should it be put out and so on and so forth? Please, Nalin, explain that to our viewers and also, of course, our panelists who are well within their right to question us on this.
So 200%, Zaka. If the information is in public interest, the journalist's duty and not just their job to put that information out. And I think that you made the point earlier in the debate. I wholeheartedly would second that opinion, that if it's in the public interest, it is your job to put it out. In this case, what are the facts of the matter? The fact of the matter is, and this is something which Mahua Moitra has also said, that she did share her login ID with the businessman in question. Here is a case of an MP who's been leading a very pointed battle against the Adanis, and now it turns out that she shared her credentials with one of the business rivals of the Adanis, and more than 40 plus questions have been asked using that credentials. It's absolutely in the public interest to put that information out once the panel is reporting on it. I think there is no ethical bar on that. And by the way, nobody's questioned the factual veracity of what's been put out.
But Nalin, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
And of course,
right?
and Zaka also.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
And Zaka,
her contention, Mahua's contention is, okay, fine, fair enough. I'm not denying that 47 times my login was used from Dubai. 47 times it was done by the scion of a rival corporate group who may or may not have a conflict of interest with the corporate group that she's been railing and ranting against. Her contention is, please tell me which section of the IPC I have broken, which section of the CRPC I have broken, because her entire contention is, what is the criminality here? What crime has she done? She may have violated parliamentary procedure, rules of parliamentary procedure. That's not a crime.
So Zaka, Mahua Moitra has also made the point that many people share their email IDs and so on, with secretaries and so on. I think it's very important in this case. This is not a secretary or somebody in the office who has access to your email, to your password and so on for easing your day-to-day business. This is a businessman who is an interested party living overseas, and who is a business rival of somebody you are leading a crusade against. I think the optics of this are really bad. I mean, if I am going to take on a rival channel or something, I'm not going to share. I mean, I might have people who work with me who might share my ID with just for secretarial work, but not with business rivals when you're leading crusade against somebody. I think this is absolutely ethically a big question mark. It raises serious questions about the intent behind the crusade, number one. I'm not talking about the veracity of what she's saying. The second thing I think is, Zaka, that now, look, this is an ethical issue, and that's why the Ethics Committee is also, as far as I can see from the report, has specifically said that where the criminality or all of that is concerned, that needs a separate investigation. I think even, Zaka, I remember being on this program with you when this matter first started, and at that time we were saying, and there were a number of people on this show who said that the Ethics Committee can look at the morality and the ethics around this, but fundamentally whether there was a criminal case and whether this thing was operated from overseas and so on, that is something which with other investigating agencies will have to look at. The Ethics Committee certainly does not have the technical expertise to do any of those investigations. But in this case, Mahua Moitra herself has said that she shared the ID.
So let me ask Tausif Ahmed Khan. So one is the impropriety, and I don't think anybody in this panel has any two opinions about it. Yes, there was impropriety. The fact that she shared her login credentials was in violation of parliamentary procedure. And like Nalin very beautifully explained, it's not just that she shared the login credentials with, secretarial staff or PRS staff or ADR staff. She shared it with a corporate house, the sign of a corporate house, who has rival corporate interests against the group that she's been railing and ranting against. Now, the point is, for that impropriety, if 10 years ago or 15 years ago, certain MPs cutting across party lines were expelled by the Lok Sabha because they asked questions in lieu of financial or non-financial rewards, then the same yardstick should apply to Mahua Moitra. That questions were asked, those questions were given using her login credentials by the member of a rival corporate group. Surely that is a violation of ethics. That's a breach of trust of the voters of Krishnanagar who voted her to power. So therefore, she's guilty of impropriety. She's guilty of breach of ethics.
Zaka, very two important point you have raised, and the other panel and other panelist was talking about. One, unauthorized login, and two, colluding with the rival business person. Now, whether there is an unauthorized login, you have to really go a little deeper into it. First is, where are the written rules? If the rules are there. If the rules are not there, then we have to again apply a different yardstick. And Mahua Moitra at all time has said that I have authorized every login because every time a login is made, I receive a OTP on my SMS and therefore I authorize it. So it is a very strong argument. Secondly, she says that it is under my supervision. I know who is logging and what that person is doing. And she said that that person is merely typing the question. So really, we cannot just on the basis of the
no, but
fact
that person is not just any other person. That person is the member of a rival corporate group. There's a conflict of interest there.
Yes. Now, second point. What is the yardstick of judging that someone is a rival business or not? You see, every corporate, and you know this very well, every company registered with the ROC has listed all the business that they intend to do business in all sectors, all field, all industry. So how do you judge whether one person is rival or not? You judge that by picking up the particular case. Here, if we want to say that a particular tender in which Adani is also participating and Hiranandani is also participating, and that tender, this is the particular case where we are accusing Mahua Moitra of helping one at the
cost of the other.
Then you can say that yes, they are business rival. But a blanket statement you can never say that because otherwise every corporate house is a rival of every other.
Okay, so let Sanju Verma respond to that.
Specifics is missing.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. As far as I know, I'm not a business journalist, but you know better than me, Sanjuji, that Hiranandanis are in the business of building flats. By and large, that's their primary business.
Yes.
The Adani group is not in the business of building flats. They are building airports and seaports and whatever else. So where is this conflict of interest that you're talking about?
Zaka, I would like to focus on two words. Nalin used a very interesting term called very bad optics. I completely agree. And Tausif used another interesting terms, the alleged collusion. He used the word colluding. I just have to say that, let us not try and torture, as they say, data and try and torture the ample proof in public domain to rationalize what Mahua Moitra did. Zaka, I have been in leadership roles. I was an associate director, a very senior position at JP Morgan. And, when there used to be big investment banking deals that used to be discussed between directors and the team members or big orders which came from overseas FIIs, every single person was supposed to keep either his telephone outside, or if he or she was speaking during market hours, it was only to be on a recorded line. You could not touch any phone which was not recorded officially by the JP Morgan official admin department. That was the level of compliance.
Okay.
And I'm shocked that this lady, being an ex-JP Morganite, today rationalizes basic lack of compliance which she has brazenly indulged in and is trying to normalize. But that is not the moot point. My simple logic is this. Does Ethics Committee have the criminal powers to expel her? Yes or no, that time will tell. But does Ethics Committee have the power to recommend for an expulsion? Very much so.
Yes.
Is there a past precedence?
Yes.
Yes, it happened in 2005. Will the Supreme Court intervene saying no, Mahua should not be expelled? No, the Supreme Court refused to intervene in 2007, upholding the verdict given by the Ethics Committee. And last but not the least, it's not as if the Ethics Committee is full of BJP members. Just give me 10 seconds because your audience needs to know not everybody is on Twitter or should I say X. Yes, there is Vinod Kumar Sonkar, Vishnu Dutt Sharma, Sumedhanand Saraswati, Aparajita Sarangi, Rajdeep Roy, Sunita Duggal, Subhash Bhamre of the BJP. But you have Mr. Vaithilingam, Uttam Reddy, Praneet Kaur of the Congress, Bala Chaudhary, Vallabha Bheni of the YSRCP, Hemant Godse of the Uddhav Sena, Giridhar Yadav of JDU, P. Natarajan of the CPM and Danish Ali of the BSP. And by a 6-4 majority, the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee decided on recommending expulsion of Mahua Moitra.
So, Riju Datta, it's not a biased panel. There were opposition members as well. Ultimately, that's the essence of democracy. The majority voted to recommend her expulsion as a member of parliament. And it's crystal clear. It's an open and shut case. She too agrees that her login credentials were violated and given to a member of a rival corporate group. She's basically gotten caught in this entire saga of corporate rivalry.
Look, let me expose the BJP again. BJP's idea of democracy is Hamas's idea of peace. Both sound ridiculous. They say that the ethics committee was unbiased. There are the 6 people that vote against the opposition MP Mahua Moitra. Out of them, 4 are from everyone is from the NDA. And what Ms. Sanju Verma just talked about, Praneet Kaur. Praneet Kaur was expelled from Congress in 2023. This year for anti-party activities. She is the wife of Amrinder Singh, who is the current blue boy of Mr. Narendra Modi. What is she talking about to the national public? Do BJP think that the people in this country are fools? Like the moot point is very simple. One independent, strong woman, one of the loudest voices in the parliament, exposed the illicit relationship between Mr. Modi and Mr. Adani. And BJP cannot take it.
Objection to this.
Okay. I have to completely wrap up. Riju ji, Sanju ji, Nalin Mehta, and of course, Tauseef, thank you for joining us. I leave it at this, that as far as the impropriety, the nature of impropriety of this case is concerned, yes, the ethics panel is well within its right, and this is the conclusion that they've come to. Of course, Mahua Moitra is well within her right to challenge that in a court of law, but more than impropriety, if there is illegality or criminality, that has to be further established that indeed she got favors either in financial form or in kind. That has to be proven by a criminal investigation for the questions that she asked in Parliament in lieu of those rewards. We'll see how that progresses. I'm now joined by BJP MP Rajdeep Roy, who's also a member of the ethics panel, who's voted for the expulsion of Mahua Moitra. Many opposition parties are calling this a witch hunt, no merit. How do you react to that, Mr. Roy?
Submitted a almost 500-page report. It encompasses everything, including all aspects of the report given by the agencies and the department, specially asked to give an opinion on the issue. And based on all these, we have submitted our recommendation. I cannot give you the details of the report because it is the part of the ethics committee, which is now the property of the Lok Sabha Speaker. We can at least tell you or give you a hint that we have taken all these into cognizance. We have taken a serious note of the allegation made by Sri Nishikant Dubey, Honorable MP, against Ms. Mahua Moitra, Honorable MP. And we have come to the conclusion that these are serious offences. This needs to be, further investigated as far as economic offence and criminality of it is concerned. As far as ethics is concerned, she has violated and we have recommended an expulsion. Let us see what decision the Speaker now takes.
But Mahua Moitra has called this panel a kangaroo court. You have neither the authority to take these action or to even level charges. How do you react to the aspersions that she has cast on this panel itself?
Look, if she would have really thought so, she would not have attended and she would not have told her side of the story for 2 long hours on 2nd of November on the pre-lunch session. Now when she was ready to face the question, she actually opted out from answering. So if you have to make some allegation, you should have thought about it long time back. And this is a country where now, because of our nature, we are giving everybody a chance to speak, right from Anand Dehadrai to Mahua Moitra ji. In fact, Mahua Moitra ji was given the most time for her side of the deposition.
Okay.
In fact, when she spoke for 1.5 to 2 hours, she spoke like a monologue, uninterrupted, and we never asked her question. When we started asking her question, she started avoiding it. So that's it. People will realize, because they have turned it into a political issue. Who's correct? The country is there to see.
Okay, Dr. Rajdeep Roy, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this plays out. Mahua Moitra, of course, like I said, is well within her right to challenge this in a court of law. This, of course, has to be presented by the Speaker in the House, and the House has to vote by simple majority to expel her. Of course, the BJP has majority in the Lok Sabha.